Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Nerds That Know. I am Duchess. With us tonight is Goon, as always, and we have a special guest star tonight. We have the lovely Lucie and Yorick. Lucie is
for those of you
one of our
who are not
favorite.
watching. She has literally already started poking me with the stick.
Lucie is one of our favorite local nerds. Huge Star Trek fan. If it happened in the 90s, she's going to know about it.
Except the end of Voyager.
Well,
You're not
Voyager
missing
sucks
much.
anyway.
I just got a preface. I don't want people yelling
That's
at
fair. That's fair.
And if anybody yells at Lucie, then
Oh,
this stick that she's
I have
beating
a
me
stick.
with.
So I have prepared a few questions. Lucie and Mark often agree on things and then disagree just to be contrary,
Yeah.
which is exactly why they're sitting over there and she has the stick. But I have
think
the
we
notebook.
can manage this.
I think this is yeah.
Our opinions can't be too different.
No, they're actually unfortunately super similar. is the
I do
problem.
have a new favorite song.
A new favorite song.
Yeah, I think it would have been very good in some episodes.
Okay.
The very emotional episodes.
Oh no.
You know, like it's raining outside.
Yeah, sure.
And there's some light piano music that comes in.
Yeah.
Maybe by Debussy.
It's what the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, you know. do 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 do.
I saved that just for you.
And we already have a Claire de Lune reference. Jesus Christ!
You invited me into your home.
I did.
Okay, so
Damn it! It's
one
just
of-
like vampires.
yeah, exactly.
I am like a vampire. You can't get rid of me now.
Other than the fact that we just fed you a lot of garlic.
I'm like a vampire.
You know, I have heard from those friends I have in the vampire community that the garlic thing is actually a big myth. They just want you to taste better so that you're pre-seasoning yourself.
I think that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like,
do.
you know, it's like the Catholics that don't eat fish on Fridays. That's all just to help the fishing business. This is just actually vampire lore that they created so that we taste better.
I believe that. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay, so I have some questions that I pulled from, well, I tweaked from various Reddit accounts of this is my controversial Star Trek opinion
Okay.
because I enjoy Reddit probably more than I should.
Me too.
I think
No shame there.
anybody who's being honest about Reddit enjoys it more than they should, because there should be no enjoyment coming from Reddit.
There is a Twin Peaks circle jerk
That does
subreddit.
that
That is
does-
why Reddit is amazing.
that does not
Right there.
that does not
That one subreddit.
You name a topic, there is a Reddit
Oh, of
or
course.
subreddit for it somewhere.
But it's
and you can
it's
add the
glorious.
word circle jerk behind it,
then
almost
it just
anything.
Makes it perfect.
Reddit is definitely not above. It's not one of the higher forms of life.
Look, I'm a hermit. I have to get my
Her
people
jolly
drama
somehow.
It's
from
good- it's good for
somewhere.
dopamine.
Exactly, it is.
That's why I watch the videos of people reading Reddit stories, even if they're like completely stupid Reddit stories. I'm like, huh. I'm
Am
just
I
thought
the
that was
asshole for
fun.
setting my grandma on fire during my sister's wedding?
No.
Here's a 10-minute story about what I did.
Absolutely. I watch those constantly. Okay, so there's a bunch of different stuff out on the interwebs, as one would imagine. But I figured we would start with actually a question that Lucie and I were discussing via chat, text. Was it this week or last
I
week?
think it maybe this week. I don't
Recently.
know. Recently.
And that is the two different ways that our favorite captains handled their interactions with Q.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
All right. Yeah,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We have the Shakespearean method, right? In which you quote Shakespeare at him and let him run havoc. Or we have the punch him in the face until he shuts up method.
He's not necessarily punching him in the face, but he's Ben Siskoing.
I was going to
directly in
say,
his
he's
direction.
Ciscoing it,
And-
which
and
is effective.
It's
For-
the same thing.
For those of you who don't know, because outside of this room, nobody knows about the Ben Sisko effect thing, because we invented it the last time we hung out. Benjamin Sisko has the effect to make everything way more dramatic than it needs to be.
Unless it needs to be dramatic.
Yeah, and then he tones it down.
And then he tones it down.
So he's talking, what's your favorite game?
Baseball!
Baseball!
Jake? Poor Avery Brooks. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun to mock.
So when you're talking about Q, you're talking about, an intellectual who is, self-proclaimed intellectual. And then you've got Q, who is trying to be an intellectual with people he thinks are inferior, but doesn't really understand.
He
right?
doesn't quite get it.
He's like, okay, these people are inferior in design because they lack the ability to create things and do things on their own and stuff. And they're still exploring and learning and very primitive and all that stuff. But what he doesn't understand is, and that's the joke, right, is humans are better than aliens in some forms or fashion, and that's how you find this out. So whilst very first episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, you get Q putting Picard on trial. And when this happens in this episode, you define the relationship between Picard and Q for the entire the length of Star Trek, for the length of both of these characters. Now Picard is always going to be adversarial in a way that he's trying to make sure that he is being a lawyer and being in defense of the entire human race. So he's like acting as, a judiciary at all times. So he's, trying to hit him with this high jargon and stuff. And Sisko's got a station that he just took over from the Cardassians. The fucking shit pile's broken. They've got this fucking engineer that came over who was just a transporter clerk on, the previous ship he was on. And his wife hates him suddenly because she doesn't want to be there with their kid. Your first officer can't fucking stand you or the Federation or anybody else involved. And she doesn't want to be on this boat to begin with. Like, Sisko doesn't have time for Q. So he's just like, get out of my fucking face, man.
So that was very eloquent, but you're wrong. And I can't explain why you're wrong, but you are. Because I know better, obviously.
Fair point.
If you were a little higher in intellect, then you'd get it.
I get that because I don't understand it.
As long as you can admit this, I will never pop onto your ship again.
Okay, so
Well spoken. I agree.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You just can't say anything about it because
No.
I said everything you were
You
going to say.
So I'll just be Q in this moment. Don't punch me, please.
No.
one of the things
You've got the stick
I do
still.
have the stick.
one of the things that was brought up is Jake, who is Sisko's son, and O'Brien's daughter Molly, who Keiko does not want on DS9. Then you also have Nog. Now here's the question: should Alexander have been brought to Deep Space Nine with Worf, and then had the opportunity to grow up at least a little bit?
Plot-wise, it wouldn't make any sense. There'd be no continuity for that. Unless Worf is suddenly a decent man who wants his child.
Would Jadzia could have made him do it?
Jadzia could have made him do it, I think.
But at that point, Alexander was already
he
like
was
18.
18 or so. Yeah. When does he show up? Season
5 or 6.
Season 5 or 6.
Yeah, and he's like 20 at that point.
Yeah, he's a soldier. But I get your point, and I get that could have been kind of forced in.
The problem is Alexander is like not that much older than Wesley, if you think, or not that much younger than Wesley Crusher.
Yeah,
if you think about
correct.
it.
Yeah.
And in the DS9 world, that's 7 years after, roughly, because you're talking about 7 years of what happened in Next Generation in the first couple of movies. And Alexander, you find out very early in Next Generation. I can't remember exactly, so the nerds can yell at me if they want. But he shows up, and So he's a lot older. So when they do end up bringing him back in, he's basically an adult at this point.
There could have been a role for him though, outside of Worf,
Yeah.
as a different person on the station.
Yeah.
The problem
Growing
was,
up,
is,
young 20s, 18, 19, 20.
Mhm.
yeah,
Kind of finding himself in that way.
Worf kind of forfeited custody. Not really forfeited custody, but already did that.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So for him to like bring Alexander back, like you said, it wouldn't make sense to the plot.
Yeah, for
They already
Worf to do it,
established
it
that.
wouldn't make
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
But for him to be a character,
Well, Worf is classically a bad father.
yes.
He's so much the deadbeat dad,
yes.
which is sad because we love Worf. We really do. But let's talk about the other
Well,
parents.
Before we go on, I
Okay.
have some more. I have some more stuff I want to talk about Alexander, because
Okay.
the Alexander character is maybe one of the worst in Star Trek. And
Aw.
I'm so sorry. I can't fucking
It's true.
stand.
It's true.
And it's not because of who he is. It's because who he gets lumped in with when he's on the Enterprise.
Yeah, yes.
He's attached to the hip with Loaxana Troy.
Yes, I was just going to say that.
The higher, the fewer. That was Alexander. Like, that whole fucking bullshit where they're in the fucking they're in that fucking stupid holodeck program where everything's all goofy and shit. And that one guy's like, just remember, the higher, the fewer. And then Alexander says that same shit later, and it makes no fucking sense. And you're like, the writers have to be on drugs at some point. So some of the stuff in early Star Trek Next Gen, there is some fucking trippy ass shit.
Well, same with the last season. That's just magic at that point.
So when they
There's
bring him
science
back
there.
in Deep Space Nine, and he's a shitty Klingon, it is so poetically great for that character that he has to redeem himself, not only in the light of like just the Star Trek world, he has to redeem himself as like basically just to exist, like
yes, yeah.
he sucks as a Klingon, he was shitty as a kid, like, and so they let him like justify his existence in those couple of episodes that he's in, and you feel better about Alexander at the end of it. And I feel like that's a really cool character arc that you get, because he is so fucking shitty. He's such a shitty character, and I'm sorry, he is. And then the Loaxana Troy shit makes it even worse. But then he gets that moment where he's like, okay, we get where he's shitty, but he's going to fix himself. And then he goes and does his
See,
own
all
thing.
you had to say was Loaxana Troy.
Yeah.
And my brain just went, She's a parent too.
I have a whole thing about Loxana.
Oh, great!
Let's.
Let's finish the parents, and then we
All
can
right.
get to Loxana.
right.
But we're gonna go
Right.
into parenting in Star Trek.
Yes.
You have Wesley Crusher, and his mom in Next Gen. That's really the only parent relationship we
Mhm.
see
Yeah.
there. But then in Deep Space, we see Nog. We see Jake. There's more of Molly. Keiko tries to open the school.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so there are kids on the space station. There's a lot of Bajoran kids running around. You get to meet and I cannot remember her name, the half Bajoran, half Cardassian daughter.
Oh,
Ducat's daughter.
Yeah.
Ducat's daughter.
I can't remember her name though.
Me neither.
She's
Okay,
fucking
anyway,
awesome too.
she
But
is
you get to
awesome.
meet
She's a
her,
great character.
Yeah.
right? You get to meet in Jadzia's ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
Like talk about like her children and previous spouses, and like how Dax was as a parent, not how Jadzia would be, but how Dax was.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's a lot of going back to childhood
Yes.
Yeah.
So
in DS9.
what parenting tips should someone take away? And I'm asking this from childless people. We are fully child free, like on
So many
purpose,
children.
intentionally.
I think I know where you're going with this question.
Okay.
think I have such an
So-
off the rails answer, but please
What
finish.
should parents take away from Star Trek as these are good things to do with your kids, and this is shit to do with your kids?
Okay, good. Should we start with good?
Cisco
has a good trajectory with Jake.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm
yeah.
sad. You're a teenager. You don't want to hang out with me. You
Yeah.
don't want to play baseball.
Baseball, Jake.
Jake.
They could just name the episode.
Excellent. But he learns and he's like, okay, oh, you're dating this older woman. Okay, we can deal with that. Oh, you're hanging out with this, money dwarf man who I don't know about.
Delinquent.
He's a little delinquent.
Careful
I don't
how
know.
you say that. That could offend somebody.
I mean, he's kind of racist until he gets to know him.
That's true.
Racism is very alive.
Mhm.
And I would call him more of a money gremlin.
Money gremlin.
Yeah, money gremlin. Yeah.
Cut that out. And he lets Jake do his thing. He lets him have his career.
Yeah. He lets him do what he wants to do. He becomes a journalist. He's like, that's great. Do that. He's very supportive. Like, he did something very different than his dad did too, because his dad was a chef.
Yes, yeah.
Is a chef,
moved on, did his own thing.
Yeah.
Now taking him in a solar ship, I don't know, bad parenting choice.
That
maybe?
might be rough.
Yeah.
There are a few. I liked what you said there. So Deep Space Nine goes, they take away the ship aspect in a lot of it, unless they're fighting the fucking people from across the wormhole. It's more about what happens diplomatically and how these people exist on the space station outside of this war-torn planet. And so you get to see more of the family aspect, where in Deep Space, in Next Gen, they're like, yeah, there's tons of families on board. And then you see them for like 30 seconds, maybe a couple episodes a season, And so, like you said, I like the fact that they broaden that perspective in, Deep Space Nine, where you can see all those familial issues with all those different characters. I want to point out a couple of really interesting parent relationships, though, from the Next Generation episodes. Let's talk about first, we're going to talk about Data.
Yes.
Who was a parent.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and his daughter.
You get the entire spectrum of parenting in a 42-minute episode.
Yeah, that's true.
From, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, to thinking that he knows everything, to learning, and, you get the whole thing with it. And it's beautifully done. And then you also get to see, at some point, and as somebody who doesn't have kids, but has seen people grow up to become young men and women, you get to see them advance past where your abilities are in a lot of respects, like I see with Michaela, for instance, and it's really cool, that aspect of that episode. The other relationship I want to talk about from the Next Generation stuff is kind of off the wall, and it's a fan theory that I'm sure people have talked about. Jean-Luc Picard and Wesley Crusher. It is. They always talk about how Wesley has another father that has a father, and the father is talked about. You get to meet him. There's that whole thing, but there's always been a part of Star Trek culture that was like, you see what Beverly and Jean-Luc are like as a couple, and they're electric. And I want to say that Wesley is probably actually Jean-Luc's kid. And it is hinted at very, very strongly if you go back and watch the series through those eyes, and Jean-Luc becoming a father instantly and having to learn how to be a parent because he had never done that before. They never say it, and it's not in Kanan. But if you watch The Next Generation and think about it from that perspective, it changes the way you feel about Wesley Crusher.
I'm not on I hate Wesley team. Wesley's just there. I don't entirely understand the hate.
I like
He's
Wesley
a
Crusher.
Teenager.
Yeah.
That's probably why there's the hate.
Every 90s,
he's not particularly annoying.
Every 70s, 80s, and 90s show had a kid character that was supposed to be the cute kid. Star Trek went a little bit beyond that and created a character who was a genius, and he was but he wasn't a cute little kid. And so I think a lot of people are thinking of that TV trope of the cute little kid, like Mary-Kate and Ashley, that whole thing. And then what was the name of they had the younger Brady, and then the younger Brady got too old, so they brought in another younger Brady. Remember that?
So it was Cindy and Bobby were the little ones, and then they brought in Oliver.
Right, yeah. They added another Brady because the two little ones weren't cute enough.
He was like
anymore.
A cousin or something.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, is like he didn't quite fit the TV tropes, and I think that's what people hate the most about it, is they're expecting this cute little kid, and he's not that.
And the characters are annoyed with him initially, and you want to
Which
be
is-
cool and agree with the characters. Like
But it's objectively
But why?
hilarious. Like when they all tell him to shut up, it's actually mildly amusing because, like, you have a little kid around, you're gonna pop off on them, right? They're gonna be irritated. Like, shut up, go sit down, and it's a real emotion, you know. But if you watch it and think about like Jean-Luc, even if he's not actually saying like, oh. But like when you meet him, like go back and watch the first couple
I'm
of
gonna
episodes.
poke you with the stick.
Please
don't
do.
agree.
Watch, like just watch. This is my son Wesley, and he's like, oh. But now think about it as like, oh, that's mine. You know, it's just
Well,
a
yeah,
really
I'm
interesting.
viewing that in a. He's in love with Wesley's mom. He has been his whole life.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
He has been. We
Yeah.
know that. He talks about it.
Right.
Mhm.
I mean,
And he has to come to the realization that, oh, I have to become a person, a
Mhm.
fulfilled person, if I'm going to get with this woman, which means I have to become a parental figure, which means I have to view this human being as an extension of myself. Versus, this is my literal biological child.
Well, and the other argument I've heard against that theory that I have is it's almost like it's very similar to your argument, but it's because he was the captain of the ship that his father was killed on.
Yes, yeah,
that he takes a
yes,
personal responsibility.
Yes,
to
exactly,
the
and
child,
he does that. That happens.
Which
we know that.
is part of that emotional response too. But it's really interesting if you go back and watch it.
I'm just not reading.
You
You know, I just want to say that Beverly
I love
didn't
that
cheat
theory.
on her husband. Like, you know, because that implies that Beverly and Jean-Luc were having a little
Yeah,
fling
and
on
I
the
just
side.
no,
No,
I just don't-
I think it was a polycule.
Okay.
I mean, I can't argue,
No,
with that,
I mean,
but I
okay.
don't agree.
We are
Okay.
talking about the fucking future. The relationships have changed between 1980 and today. These guys are 400 years advanced of us, and you don't expect us to think that they're just cool with being a polycule?
Yeah.
It
So-
could have
so-
been.
It could have
So
been,
maybe
but I just,
Beverly doesn't
nah.
know which one is Wesley's father.
Yeah.
I mean, we're 400 years advanced in the future, and
Just saying.
That-
All right. So
cares?
parenting tips other than Jean-Luc should get a DNA test.
Oh man, I just love that.
okay, Ferengi parenting tips. I
yes,
mean,
Ferengi.
I do not want to judge these people and their,
What do you
know,
mean these people?
these
Ferengi.
people,
I'm just fucking around.
very racist against the Ferengi. Not really love Quark. And wrong, to a
Wrong.
degree.
and Moogie.
And we can talk about Moogie. Moogie
is a
saw the
great
potential in her children
parent.
and tried to play off that.
Yeah.
I mean, she ended up,
Boning
her
the
son-
Grand
Yeah,
Nagus.
yeah, but
She
boning the
changed-
Grand Nagus,
Yeah. She
driving her
changed
son away.
all of
But
Ferengi society.
she recognized her children as very smart, and she pushed them in these directions.
Mhm.
Well, and then she realized the potential in herself and changed all of
And
Ferengi
that's
culture.
not a parenting
No, I
role.
was- yeah.
You're getting off topic. now.
And anybody who bangs Wallace Shawn should be commended as well.
Agreed.
Like as Moogie, you have to bang Wallace Shawn. That is something you have to do
That's
because
true,
you,
because
you
you're,
are banging
because you
the
are
Grand
Moogie.
Nagus.
Yeah, that's true.
Moogie
Baseball.
baseball.
Jake.
Jake. Moogie.
So,
So getting back on topic.
the only other parent that I'd really like to, touch on at all is O'Brien, either with Molly or with his unborn child that Kira ends up pregnant with.
Yes.
I think that whole dynamic is very realistic. Not with Molly and with the Kira situation. That
Yes.
whole thing, that is the very realistic family. In fact, I
Yes.
think the characters in DS9 as fully fledged people
Yes.
are a lot more fully fledged. And
Yes.
so the relationships are. But, there's tension between the parents
Mhm.
at times. The kid
Mhm.
picks up on this.
Yep.
But they're good parents. And they're doing what they need to do for this kid. And then the whole Kira Yoshi situation.
Yeah.
That shit is wild.
That shit is wild. I mean, you make choices when you get pregnant
Yeah, I mean,
as
but
an
like,
actress.
think about, what Keiko had to do, like
Yes.
she went from being pregnant to having a surrogate.
And it was either I resent this person or I bring this person into my family.
And
right.
You get to see both
and,
of those.
she
things.
was the one
Exactly.
who was
Yep.
like banging the gong during the
Banging the gong.
because like the
Give her a
Bajoran-
foot massage.
Yeah.
No, I don't have a problem with him doing this.
Yeah, like it could have gone either way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay.
And you get to see that she's like a human because she's like, I'm not okay with this, but at the same time, I have to.
I have to be. So
Mhm.
overall, parenting pretty good. I mean, again, I don't want to judge those people, but a slave for a nephew, maybe not the best thing.
No.
Which is actually why the suggestion, because Mark wanted to ride in on a chariot for our wedding.
Yes.
Oh,
One of the
right,
many,
yes,
many
yeah.
different. He was also going to.
No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't going to do a
hold on.
chariot. You suggested
Okay,
the chariot.
you wanted to repel. You wanted to come in lit on fire.
I was going to pop up from the floor.
You were gonna
see, that
you were gonna have
one.
a
Yeah.
trap door.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Trapdoor all
come
I was
in
gonna
on a
have
chariot.
I was going to have a
He's like,
jacket that
who-
had pyros all over it.
He's like, who will pull the chariot? I was like, well, we have our two nephews as the bridal bouncers.
Mhm.
They can pull the chariot. He's like, I am not having my two black nephews pull me down the aisle
Yeah,
or
rough.
carry me.
No, not going to
Yeah,
happen.
maybe not.
Not going to happen.
So instead, they got guns and got to shoot anybody who was misbehaving during the wedding.
Yeah.
They were Nerf guns. They were Nerf guns.
Still approved.
But yeah, so that's why we have this really great Charlie's Angels picture of the two boys with their Nerf guns, and then our third bridal bouncer, who was our oldest niece on my side of the family. So the three of them with their Nerf guns, being very Charlie's Angels.
I love it.
Fantastic.
It's perfect.
Okay. We were talking a little bit about Beverly and Picard, and I want to get into
Oh, no.
one of the most controversial Beverly episodes.
Oh,
yes!
Oh, yes!
All right.
If you tell me it's not this one, I'm leaving.
So Beverly has candle sex with a goat.
Yes!
This is
Go
This
sex!
is when Claire de Lune plays
Yeah,
with
this
a
is,
theremin.
I think there's a bagpipe, too.
There's got to be a bagpipe. With
Yeah.
the theremin, bagpipe, Claire de Lune. I'm
Right.
there.
Because it's in the Highlands, but the Highlands are on Earth 4000 or whatever the fuck.
With
But it's-
sexy ghost candles.
But the
Mhm.
entire planet is Scotland for some reason.
Yes.
Everybody's Scottish on the entire planet.
Yes. Yep.
And then they light the candle, and then Beverly has ghost sex. Okay, go on.
But it's an alien. There's no magic or supernatural stuff. It's an alien.
It's ghost sex.
Well, yeah, we all know that
She
the
gets-
last
yeah.
season is just all magic.
So Picard and Beverly never fully consummate their relationship publicly in a way on Next Gen. But then you see her having ghost sex.
Mhm.
From Picard's perspective, do you want to go and find that candle and like not just burn it again, but like put it through like a mulcher or something?
Okay, as Picard,
Yes.
yes.
Right? As
Yeah.
Beverly, do you just want to take that candle with you everywhere forever?
Yes.
But the candle comes with possession.
And Picard doesn't do his own dirty work. He's gonna get
Oh, yeah.
one of these other
have
chicks
Riker
that
do
he
it.
has been banging.
Yeah.
You know,
I was just going to say he'll have Riker do
he'll
it.
have Riker do it.
Worf,
Worf next time Q shows up.
Data.
Yeah, someone else can do. But oh yeah, 100% definitely. Yeah, he's not a perfect person.
No.
Sure, he's a little jealous, but
I
I'm
mean,
sure
maybe
I'm
he'll check.
absolutely
Maybe he'll check out the candle. He does have his like horny flute outfit thing, and
Mhm.
I am
we
absolutely.
know that Picard is a
sexy
man with
Jean-Luc.
needs. Yeah,
And
so-
nipples.
and nipples.
in episodes for each one of them, those two were hitting on each other or possessed by something that made them feel the things for each other.
Oh,
And
yeah.
You saw lots of. I am absolutely certain that they consummated at some point.
Oh, 100%.
It's just never like
Yeah,
stated.
it's never. Yeah,
You
it's,
know,
it's
kind of
not-
like Wesley's actually.
like
Jean-Luc's.
when Riker and
Yes, I found a button.
when Riker and Deanna Troi are dating, you know that they're boning.
Oh yeah,
Right?
100%.
yes,
Like you
yeah,
know
definitely.
that.
But
when
she's also
Jadzia
getting
and
some
Worf,
double dick on the side.
Oh, everywhere. Deanna, man, just
Yeah, well, she's
for
also
her,
getting Worf on
girl.
the side. She's getting double
Well,
dick.
and Worf has 2 dicks.
Yeah, double dick.
and multiple Rikers.
Yeah, right. Multiple 2 Rikers, because there's William T. Riker, and then there's fucking
Thomas Riker.
Thomas. That's the other fucking guy's name.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Who
Then
was
there's the
really lame, by the way.
there's the fucking empath who speaks through the other people.
Yes, yeah.
So he's got his own polycule that I'm sure is sleeping together. That all speak for him. You know.
Do we need to go down the list because I'm not
Of Troy? No,
all
no.
of Troy's.
That's just off the top
Good
of my
for her. Go girl.
head. Yeah.
Candle.
Yeah.
Back to Beverly.
Back to
She
Beverly, sorry.
deserves the candle.
Yes.
Okay. She's raising a teenager. Her husband died. She's not boning John Luke on the ship. Candle. She's gonna take this thing everywhere.
Constantly has that syndrome where she falls in love with her patients. She constantly has that syndrome.
She's a
Remember
lonely
when she
woman.
falls for that fucking John Doe guy
Yeah.
who like turns out to be like a god?
Yes. She needs the candle.
Yeah, she needs
Candle,
the candle.
ghost candle all the way. Good for her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plus, it's not like she's selling her soul to the devil. She's a ginger. She doesn't
Ooh.
have a soul.
I was gonna say that'd make a really good episode, but you have a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would
Trust
have
me.
to go in season 7 with the magic episodes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so one of the other big issues that is being posted all over the Star Trek Reddit, world, is that the Prime Directive is a lie,
Yes, I was thinking about this today.
right? So they touch on it a little bit in the Wrath of Khan new one,
Okay, yes, yeah.
right? Where he's all like, yes, technically we broke the Prime Directive, but if we didn't, this entire civilization would have been destroyed. So isn't that like within, the scope of what the Prime Directive should be?
Yes.
So the Prime Directive is a lie. Go.
The Prime Directive is a lie in all 3 90s series for various reasons. Well, one, Cisco, whatever, the Prime Directive. It's nice. Like,
He doesn't believe
he
in
doesn't believe in the Prime Directive.
He hates Starfleet.
He does. He's
Starfleet killed his wife. He didn't give a fuck
Starfleet killed
about...
his wife. Now he's going to take orders from this dude
Yeah,
that
he
was a Borg, and now he's stuck on the space station. And now he's obsessed with Bajor. So he gets to go live as an alien in a non-linear space forever. So yeah, that's not even
right.
And Jean-Luc claim, constantly we have to follow the pro, but they're constantly breaking it.
Constantly breaking it.
And it's always, that's the way Next Gen is. Everything is posed as what humanity, and what does that mean?
Right.
What does it mean to be good? And so it's always in that realm, but it constantly happens. And as you were saying, well, if a civilization is destroyed, then it would be destroyed, and you're not supposed to stop that.
Mm-hmm. Or what was the episode where there's the 2 planets that are coexisting, and the one planet gives the other one all of their drugs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it's actually, they've just got an entire planet addicted to this drug.
Yes.
Yep. And they're like, you're gonna get this fever, and you've got to do all that stuff.
And they do get the fever, and they do all that stuff because they're going through DTs.
Yep.
Yes.
And then Beverly's like, we have to do something.
Yeah.
And Jean-Luc is like, Prime Directive.
We can't.
But then he's like, I'm such a simp for you. Of course I'll do that. But,
yes. But not the mother child
one of the
thing.
One of the biggest reasons why Star Trek is so woke is the fact that they are constantly fighting in the writing against the letter of the law. And people who are the people on Reddit, the people who are constantly crying about the letter of the law, don't understand that not necessarily all of the time the letter of the law is the right thing to do. And so there's a dichotomy always there, and Star Trek plays with that. They've played with that for even back in the 60s when fucking the entire crew was just, they were doing whatever the fuck, and they still hated black people at that point. But, they had one on the ship, and that was cool. And the original, I don't know if you've ever gone back and watched the original pilot.
No,
when he's like, when he's like, I'm still not used to having a woman on the bridge.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
That was in Star Trek, and that was at that point that was very progressive, you know.
Yes. Oh yeah.
So they're constantly
Excuse me.
fighting against the Prime Directive because that's the letter of the law. And Star Trek writers are so progressive, and that's the thing, is like, okay, what can we show that's like, we have to change things all the time. Like, nothing can stay static. The good old days are not ever the good old days. And that's one of the beautiful things about Star Trek writing, is it's always topical. It's always talking about being progressive, and it always makes you think about something.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, I recently watched, I think it's in season 3. It's the episode where you have the very primitive people. And the Picard shows up as a god.
Oh
And
yes,
they start
the Picard.
The Picard. And they've decided, well, we have to do something. We have to reveal this to somebody
Right.
to show, no, you can't go backward. You can't go backward. It would be our fault. One, Ray Wise is in that
Right.
episode, and Ray Wise is in Twin Peaks, and that just, my heart sings. But it's also a very good episode.
Well, and then you get into like, in I think it was early Deep Space, where they have the, oh look, we're Irish, we must be, primitive.
Yes, yeah, yes.
And it's like, we're gonna give you guys a new planet.
yes,
Yeah.
yep,
Right.
yeah. Now, should we talk about the Prime Directive and Voyager?
Oh God, they fucking got to the Delta Quadrant and turned the
Zip,
Prime Directive
none,
upside down.
No more. We're gonna follow all these other Starfleet protocols, especially the ones where we get to throw people in the brig.
Yeah, yeah. But
No Prime Directive. I'm gonna go headlong into this planet.
yeah.
Oh, the planet's an alien. We did this 3 other times. I can't believe
It's still happening.
it's still happening. Yeah, Janeway. There's no
Prime Directive.
no Prime Directive.
By far the worst captain in following the Prime Directive. Like everybody else, I mean, even Cisco follows the Prime Directive until somebody's like, Benjamin, we have to.
Yeah, we
Excuse me.
have to move past.
We
this,
have to
yeah.
get past Starfleet bullshit. Like, he
And
goes-
mostly that's Jadzia.
And
it's
yes,
Jadzia
yes.
or it's Nerys.
Kira. Yeah,
Nerys.
yeah.
Or it's coming from Odo, but he's always the guy that's like, no, we got to do it this. And Picard, struggles with the Prime Directive and goes and gets other people's advice, but and even like talk about the timeline continuum.
Yes. Yeah.
We watched Star Trek 4 the other night, and they go back in space, and fucking the engineer just gives away fucking trade secrets from 200 years in the future, and
But
they're
he
just like,
says,
how do you know that he didn't invent the thing?
right?
That's such
Yeah,
a,
exactly.
it's
a
such
time
a
loop.
weird way to explain a what you've created. It's such a weird way to explain away a paradox, but they do it constantly.
The Bell Riots is
Bell
the exact
Riots.
same thing.
The Bell Riots are a prime example of not following the Prime Directive at all.
It's like, well, now we have to do this though. We
Yeah.
have to because
Guns
Duchess
up.
dead. Yeah, we have
Leroy fucking Jenkins, you are fucking Gabriel Bell for history now.
to. He loves baseball.
Baseball, Jake. Moogie.
Okay, so
Trying to think if I have any other ones.
Those are just 2 classics.
Baseball, Jake.
with the Prime Directive,
Jake.
you get to meet a bunch of new species, right? And whatever. But they're all bipeds.
There's an episode or several. There's at least one where they sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Where they suggest panspermia, which is, we all come from common ancestor, and it started here. But that is interesting that nobody grew fins or wings, or
There's
everybody can have sex the same way.
yeah.
Right,
purple-
that-
Eats the same way and has
Yeah.
the same humor.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that today too. I was
Right.
thinking about data, the idea of humanity and how each series has a character that's trying to become more and more human. And so you have Data, you have the Doctor in Voyager, and
Odo.
and Odo. You have these 3 characters
Odo.
who
Yeah,
are
and
trying
Spock.
and Spock.
Yeah, I
The
forgot.
original.
I was trying to think.
and then
I'm like,
7 of
oh,
9. You have these
7.
characters, but it's always human. And then you have Data talking to Guinan, who is not a human,
Mm.
about how to be human. Why the hell does Guinan care? about Data telling stupid human jokes. Everybody
Yeah,
is.
because Guinan has observed the humans.
No, shush, we're not. Now I'm gonna poke you
Okay.
with a stick.
No,
No, that's
because
true. I was
Guinan's
just
a
thinking
good
that
bartender,
because
and
Guinan is amazing. and
because
she's
Guinan is a
fantastic.
good bartender, and
We-
she gives a shit about
But
it
it's
just
always
because her client
human.
gives a shit about it. She probably doesn't actually give a shit
No,
about
she
it because
doesn't.
that's being a good bartender. I know
Coming
because
from the
I
good
Because you
bartender.
are a good bartender.
talk about bullshit I don't care about all the
Guinan's
time.
fantastic, but it's true. But I was just thinking about
Yeah.
it's always
Humanity.
humanity,
Human.
and how all of these bipeds, everybody's a biped,
Yeah.
everybody's the same,
And everybody is striving to be more human instead of being more Romulan or Vulcan or Klingon.
yeah,
Because
yep.
all of them have very different, ways of thinking,
Yes.
ways of doing, culture, whatever.
And
That
that makes
was-
sense. I mean, in the writing, we're humans. You have to be reductive when you have that many races, and you're just trying to kind of throw them in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they just get to be different colors and maybe have weird shit coming out of their faces.
And be angry and want to kill everybody, or
Yeah.
wear
Or,
really, really terrible clothing.
Or just want money.
Right.
I
right.
should have stringed my bangs flat and come as a Romulan. I could totally do that now.
Well,
You
what was
could.
that?
Why
what was
did
that
I not
planet?
do that?
What was that planet in season 1 of Next Gen where it's just humans, but they're all like basically naked and they run from place to place?
Yes.
Like that's
Our
their whole
house?
thing.
Yeah.
No, but they run like that. They run like their whole thing was they jogged everywhere.
Yes.
But then that was one of the problems with it before you've still got a second part of this, or you haven't finished the question yet.
I know. I
But
no,
know.
it's
one
okay.
one of the biggest problems with the writing in Voyager was they didn't have that character. And so you went through the first 4 seasons going, well, they're exploring this new place, but then they kind of got locked into these battles with a certain race.
Yes. Yeah.
And so then you had this like, okay, Neelix has to be that character.
Oh God.
And then they're like, Neelix sucks. So we have to invent this. So they basically kill off Neelix's girlfriend. So he becomes a lesser character.
Yes. Yeah.
And then establish that character in season 5 by bringing in 7 of 9.
yeah. Yeah.
Because 1, you still have the hot girl.
Yes.
2, that establishes a character that you can create as that more human character.
Yes,
But they didn't
yeah.
have that until season
You
5.
can only go so far with the Doctor because he's
Yeah.
a holograph.
Yeah. He's
can
a
only-
hologram, whatever. But he's lovely and snarky and doesn't care about being
and
human.
I
Robert
love the
Picardo
Doctor.
is
He is-
such an amazing actor.
He and 7 of 9 have kept me in
Yes.
that in Voyager, and I'm slowly kind of
picking away at it little by
I'm
little.
sorry for people who love Voyager.
I'm not. That
I'm
show's
sorry
sucks.
that you love Voyager.
Yeah.
I
Neelix-
am too. It's DS9. It's just 4th watch right now. Okay.
Anyways, on to the question.
On to the question.
No, actually, you guys kind of covered it without me having to go into it. So
It's like you're reading my brain. It's like you and I saw the same Reddit stuff on. It's like we're following.
my goodness.
On Star Trek.
Okay, so
It's like we talk about Star Trek all the time.
What?
I'm actually going to skip that one. We'll come back to it because we're going to get into
Oh, no.
one of my personal issues since we've been discussing the humanity and the evolution of characters and the evolution of aliens and such. What the fuck with the Klingons?
What do you mean?
Okay, you have them. They're just the black guys.
Yeah.
In original series.
Yep.
No,
Right.
they're yeah, you're right. Okay.
Yeah,
But they have
okay.
big,
Yeah.
they have bushy eyebrows
Yes,
and big and
yeah.
pointy beards.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Right. Then you get Worf.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. And if you want to go with past the 90s, I'm sorry, Discovery.
Yeah, they reinvented it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like all of the different, we meet so many Klingons, especially in deep space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And like,
I
how, why? I'm confused.
There is one Klingon. One, and then there's variations of that Klingon. They're all angry.
Yes.
They all need to kill everybody.
yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
They all have honor,
And they all like opera.
and they all love opera. They're not. Yeah, it's not
But
a
it's
very
bad
for
opera.
as many Klingon and for as many decent Klingon episodes as there are. They're just not very fleshed out. As a friend put it, Klingon episodes are tedious because it's just like it's the women standing here going, "Ah," and the men are just honor.
Well, it's
Okay.
Shakespeare, right? They're telling Shakespeare a different way. with the
I'm
Klingon
listening
episodes.
to you.
There's a blood feud. It's always a blood feud, so it's
That's
Shakespeare.
not very Shakespearean. That's very Greek.
Either way,
Look,
it's
you're
all
walking
blood-
straight into my territory. It's Yorick.
It's all just theater, you know.
It's all theater. No, it is. It's
exactly.
100%.
It's a big drama, and it's just, you know, here's a different way of telling the same story that we've heard a million times, and it's super entertaining to me because they've created an entire culture, and I love the way that I think it's in Deep Space Nine, like you guys had kind of half mentioned, that they explain what happened, because that's the episode where they go back.
Yes, where they go
the
back.
Trouble
yeah,
with Tribbles.
Yes,
Which is a
they're
fabulous
they're sitting
episode.
there, and
Such
somebody
a great
says what,
episode.
and Worf just goes, "We don't talk about."
If you haven't seen that
we don't
episode of
mention
Deep
that or
Space
whatever
Nine, it is one of the greatest episodes ever, because
it's fantastic.
it's one of the first times in television where they actually take an old piece of footage and seamlessly put together an episode with brand new characters, and you feel the whole thing. It's amazing. It's really well shot. It's one of the best shot episodes of Star Trek I've ever seen. The story is whatever, because you're locked into an episode basically of a show that came out in 1967. So the story is what it is when you fit it in there, but it's all about the filming aspect. If you get to see James T. Kirk and the guys are all dressed up, and it looks like, you know, it's just really cool.
It's very entertaining.
But they do have
and then
the
when
throwaway
Sisko
where
hands
he's like,
him the deal to be signed at the end.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a cool moment. And like, you have these little things, but then the Worf thing where he's like, that's what you guys
we
look
don't
like.
mention that.
We don't talk about it.
we don't talk about that.
And if you think about it, it's like what, like 200 or 300 years before that is when
Discovery
is, well, no, so Discovery is before that, right?
Yeah.
But that's just, they're just taking, you know, the characters and being like, all right, we're just reinventing this. we're acknowledging that was bad and just taking over it. Because in the 60s, aliens, you just didn't have the money to do all that stuff. You had to pay for the people that actually were just playing there in the film, and the lights, you know, that's what they were worried about in the 60s. So, but yeah, the Klingons are fascinating to me.
They're fascinating. My biggest problem is they seem to be like, we need drama.
Yes.
Throw a Klingon in.
Yeah.
But there are, like, Martok is a great character.
Martok's awesome.
He's fabulous.
Gowron is lame as hell.
I fucking hate
DS9,
you for that. That is the give me the stick. Gowron is so great. Are you kidding me?
In DS9, Gowron, he just shows up with his bug eyes and just like, okay, and then he walks off stage. It's like, so you just needed him to show up with his bug eyes, and his ending makes no sense to me. It's like, well, it seems like sloppy writing. It's like, we just got to throw him in here and make him mad enough that somebody kills him.
I mean, it's very Klingon,
but it is very Klingon.
I like Lady Martok.
all the Martok.
The Martok stuff's great.
So I guess I'm slightly stepping back on my tedious Klingon thing. It's just,
yeah.
And who hates opera? Go to hell.
It's not
all
good,
y'all.
It's not very good opera. When Star Trek does.
That's
music,
probably because they didn't, write an opera.
They needed to spend some money on somebody who could actually write some music.
You know who wrote a very good opera that is not Claire de Lune? Debussy.
I'm sure.
It's not anything like Claire de Lune. It is weird and definitely not Klingon.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, the Klingons, I don't know. Yes, they represent a certain drama, but they're just kind of paraded out.
Yeah, I feel like in Deep Space, especially having Jadzia be, Dax, who was the Klingon ambassador.
That's interesting.
Right? Like, you get to see a different perspective of Klingon and Klingon culture.
Yes, yeah.
It's like when, and we'll get into this in a little bit, when stupid head Ezri shows up.
Your favorite.
Yeah. Right, and she's all like, "What do I do with the 27 types of gach that were ordered for Jadzia's birthday?"
Yeah,
The other thing that's interesting is the Klingon thing was never really a thing in the original series. They showed up and they were like, "Okay, they're cool, whatever, right? Adios." Like, it didn't become a thing until the movies made them a thing.
Yes, yeah,
and in particular, the second and third one. And then there's the whole storyline with the movies basically made the Klingons pop culture.
Yes.
Because before that, they were a joke. It was a throwaway. It was one-off thing. But in the movies, you had, You had guys like Christopher Lloyd playing a Klingon, and it became a thing. And so you had to keep them in there, and you had to make it more interesting. We needed more of that because the kids in the 60s and 70s, and my brother will tell you that, who's 10 years older than me, when those movies came out, everyone wanted it. It was like when Star Wars came out, everyone wanted an Ewok, everyone wanted to be Chewbacca. The Klingons were new and exciting and different.
People were learning the language.
Yeah. I mean, I have somewhere in this house.
I'll get it.
I believe there is a dictionary, and also we have.
Actually, you'll get it because I don't want to mess up. The shelf next to your desk.
Yeah.
Is your Bird of Prey handbook?
I actually have a handbook for the Klingon Bird of Prey.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
It's because he has a really cool wife.
What? No.
You haven't met her.
I was gonna say, do I know her? So I get now as I'm talking, I'm
we
okay.
keep her in the storage unit.
The Klingons are some of the Klingons are so what is her name? I love that episode.
The one
with Quark. I love
the one where she marries Quark just to make him like the head of the house.
Her herself. She's
bad.
She's bad. It's just terrible sloppy writing.
Quark makes that. Armin Shimmerman is so good.
I love Armin Shimmerman. I didn't realize that was who. Like I knew. What am I doing? I'm looking at it.
I've already seen it. I bought it.
Here, would you like to see this book that his wife? This is amazing. I did not realize. I didn't put 2 and 2 together about Armin Shimmerman for a little while. I was like, that's the principal for Buffy.
Yes.
Oh my god. Like, okay, it is. Yep. Okay.
Now I got to tell you, my niece. I'm sure. Is there more Frankie stuff coming up?
Always, but go ahead.
Okay, my niece hates the Grand Nagus, and therefore because Wallace Shawn played the Grand Nagus, and she didn't see the Princess Bride. She still hasn't seen the Princess Bride
because she's a communist.
She hates Wallace Shawn, and then therefore hates the Princess Bride because Wallace Shawn is in it.
I mean, you hate Wallace Shawn in the Princess Bride, though. Well, I mean, as much as you hate anyone in the Princess Bride.
That you're not voting one of the most quotable.
But I'm just saying,
he's better than
Liberty. He fits the same. He fits the Nagus thing, so if she hates the Nagus, it just works.
Literally,
just carry that over.
Literally, all of his dialogue is memeable. Every single bit of Wallace Shawn's dialogue is a meme or in some pop culture reference. Every single line in that movie.
Watch My Dinner with Andre. And he says the line, and you will freak out because this movie has no action and it's literally 2 people talking the whole time. And then he says that's inconceivable. And like, you just lose your shit. You're like, okay, I can't take the intellectualism anymore because this is obviously that can go there.
Okay, so you touched briefly on, oh my god, Buffy, blah, whatever. I'm gonna go a little bit deeper than that and talk strictly about crossover episodes. We talked about Trouble with Tribbles.
Yes.
But let's talk about who else should have had appearances in another Star Trek, right? So in Deep Space Nine, you get Worf back, you get O'Brien, you even get Picard, you get Riker, and you get everybody's favorite, Loxana.
Could we just take those episodes out?
We just skip them.
Yeah, there's a rule in this house.
At this point, we've all seen it so many times. We just skip Loxana.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Same.
We're on our 10th watch through, so it's if you're awake enough to be able to skip it, we skip.
Same.
Episodes.
Just not. Yeah.
Just can't do it.
No.
Yeah. So who else should have been crossover back to Next Gen or come from Next Gen or Voyager and Deep Space?
Right.
Like, who else should have been on another ship or space station that did not get that opportunity?
There are a lot of. I mean, this is post.
Well, and
Deep Space,
also obviously Q. He also had the crossover.
Obviously, there are a lot of characters in Voyager who we would ostensibly see in Deep Space. There's all the Maquis.
Yeah.
Which it's fair that we don't. The show was written afterward. But that could be a thing. There could be
and they did enough
a past sequence of Maquis stuff. I mean, the Maquis stuff at DS9 is not my favorite. It's just kind of "Whoa, I'm so evil, and I'm in the Maquis," and
The pirates.
yeah.
What's interesting about what you say is there are some tie-ins between Voyager and Star Trek Next Gen, but it's of the worst kind. So you
Yes.
get Barclay episodes.
Oh,
You get fucking Barclay
I
episodes.
love Barclay.
You don't, and so because you get Barclay, you get Deanna Troi, which is cool.
Yes.
Like she comes with every Barclay episode.
Yes, she does.
But there are episodes where they like Barclay can see to the Delta Quadrant because he's a genius, right? He's legitimately smart.
Yes.
He's just the dumbest person on the planet,
Yes.
socially. He's an awful character, but
he is an awful character.
And he
Love
takes
him.
over too much of the show when he's on it.
Too much of the show. Love him.
He's so bad. He's such a bad.
It took several watchings
Like,
before it was.
So that's
I
like
decided
what
I
you're saying.
finally
Like
am
that's
okay
the
with
reverse. Like we got that crossover.
Yeah,
but
we didn't need that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, you don't want more Chakotay?
absolutely not.
No.
No,
You
although I
don't
think
want
he
some
made it.
Chakotay and then another
Didn't he
moon
make it
with some
into
pan
Picard or
flutes
one of
and-
those?
Yes,
No,
he
I
did
haven't.
make it into Picard.
You know who didn't make it into Picard? O'Brien.
Yeah,
I know.
They were-
O'Brien
that
is
was
your
talked
favorite.
about.
That's fucking criminal.
Because O'Brien was listed as a special guest or also including or
Mhm.
whatever.
If you go okay, so yeah, this goes back to my O'Brien slander from the Next Generation. And was this on the list or
No, but please,
Okay.
I love when you do this.
Oh my
one.
god. So O'Brien is in like more than 2/3 of the episodes of Star Trek.
yes.
And in all of the Next Generation episodes that he's in, for the most part, you get the, starring these guys in the title credits.
Yes.
And then it goes to when the episode
Yes.
starts, you get guest starring for the episodes, and you get like Mick Fleetwood is the first listed guest on an episode. He's encased in fucking like some kind of hyperbolic chamber and has 2 lines that are at the end of the episode. So you see him for 2 seconds at the beginning, frozen because he's inside of a fish suit and he just got done with a transplant. Do you know what I'm talking
Yes.
about?
Yeah.
And so he's frozen. That's Mick Fleetwood. And then you see him at the end, he's unfrozen. He says, like, yeah, thank you. And then he wanders off. And that's Mick Fleetwood. He's listed before Cole Meanie in that episode.
Oh man.
There are episodes of Next Generation where his wife is listed as a guest star.
No, she's listed as a star,
Yeah.
not guest star.
And
Right.
he's
And he's still listed in the credits. Or when she's on it and she's a guest star, he says guest star, she's listed in front of
poor
Cole
Cole
Meanie on these
Meanie.
episodes. The Cole Meanie slander is beyond compare, and I don't know why he's not in Picard. It is a shame.
He's my least favorite.
I love.
I'm joking. I
Don't
thought
just-
you'd get mad at me.
Oh my
He's,
god!
I think that he's my favorite as well.
also the him and fucking
Bashir.
Oh
Bashir,
yeah.
he
Oh,
shaves-
yeah.
That
he saves-
bromance.
That bromance
is
you
just-
start to hate Julian because of the annoying shit, and then he becomes endearing because they are butt buddies.
because they become
They're like it's not just a bromance. You know that they're diddling each other on the side. This is the future we're talking about.
Especially while Keiko was gone.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
she's
Oh,
gone
yeah.
for like at least she's gone for 6 months at one point, and then leaves for another 6 months. You know, O'Brien's not fucking anybody.
Well,
But
they're
they're
in the
going-
holosuite all the time.
Yeah, they're in the holosuite all the time practicing war. What do you think that they're doing when all that noise is going on?
Yeah.
They are closet homo for each other. But it
It's not
makes
very
Bashir
closet.
so likable by the end of the show.
Yes.
And he
agreed.
is such an obnoxious little prick to start.
I do like Bashir's art.
Yes, he is.
He's
yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
His character arc's so good.
It is very, very good.
Okay, so that gets into if you had to go and see a Star Trek doctor for one of your current ailments. All right.
Oh, jeez. Just one?
Time out. Does the doctor we pick get the technology of their time or any timelines?
They get the whatever medical knowledge they have in their show,
Okay.
whatever medical equipment they have in their,
their
show.
show.
Their
Okay,
background,
okay.
everything.
Yeah,
Okay.
But
that is
them,
that is
okay,
what you
okay,
get.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't
Right.
mind.
So you're going into sick bay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. And you know what? Let's not say one of your current ailments because Okay,
Just
I get
you.
I get it. So who would you go to for a common cold, B, a broken arm, and C, an alien virus that you don't know what it is? And I would call that our current ailments.
Right.
Do I get a doctor for each?
You get a doctor for each one.
Okay.
So first, A, you have a common cold. You know, you're stuck in bed. You have fever. You have the nose drips. You have the eye itchies. Like all of these things that, according to most sci-fi, they never find a cure for the common cold.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Or if they do, like in Eureka, they said they found the cure for the common cold, but it's like $10 million to produce it or something.
Yeah.
So some sort of rhinovirus.
Yeah. So you have a cold.
Okay.
You can't work.
Yeah.
You need to work.
Yeah.
Which doctor do you go to?
I can't work and I need to work.
Yes. So it's not like, oh, just soup and stay in bed.
Yeah.
You need the doctor to do something to make you functional.
That's easy.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, really any of them for that one.
Beverly?
Yeah, Beverly or Pulaski.
sure.
I mean, Beverly Pulaski is...
Fuck Pulaski. She's
No,
the
Pulaski
worst.
is
She's such
so
a fucking,
great.
She's the worst. She's a racist. And
They're
she
all
hates Data.
racist.
She
does hate Data.
She fucking
until she loves Data.
But she very specifically is predispositioned to and then goes out of her way to make it uncomfortable with him.
Yeah, she's entertaining as hell.
But it's obnoxious. It's like, why are you fucking picking on him? Leave him the fuck alone. He's just trying to figure his shit out.
She doesn't get it.
Yeah, so she
But she is gonna cure your damn cold.
But I think Beverly's the one I'd want.
All right, so Beverly and
Beverly is soup.
Beverly
and Pulaski is I need to go to work.
No, Beverly is she'll solve that mystery virus.
She will, but she's gonna make you stay in bed.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, you have a broken bone. Which doctor do you go to?
Voyager.
Bones.
Voyager.
Bones will fix you the
and
right
you
way.
go to the hologram guy.
Yeah, whatever. I should know what.
I can't remember
the emergency medical.
Yeah.
Hologram.
Bones legitimately cares.
He'll just do it.
Bones legitimately cares about the health of his patients.
Needs to be fixed
by him.
No.
Yeah. I appreciate Bones.
And he's funny as fuck.
See, Pulaski is funny as fuck.
No,
not her.
Not.
Just the character.
She's the worst. She's the worst doctor.
No, she's so entertaining. Same with Barclay. So entertaining.
Oh, too terrible.
I don't know. I like Bones, especially in the movies. When Chekhov is in the hospital.
Yeah.
Right? And he's like, dialysis? What is this? The Dark Ages?
Yeah.
Take this pill.
Dr. McCoy makes being a doctor in Star Trek so hard because you have to be so dynamic. He was so good in that show that you need to be a really good doctor in order to survive in the Star Trek world. And look at every show has a very strong character as a doctor.
Yes,
and it's because they have McCoy is so good. He's so dynamic.
Yeah.
He's helping Spock learn to be human. And he's so cantankerous. And he's, he calms Jim Kirk down a lot. He's there for Uhura. He's such a glue character in that show that the doctor has to be so good at every show. And literally in every show, they're one of the best characters.
Yeah, that's true.
From Beverly Crusher and not Pulaski, she's the worst. Fuck that bitch.
I didn't say she was
Robert
a good
Picardo is
person.
the best character in Star Trek
Well,
Voyager.
that's
okay. Interesting thing going back to McCoy as the doctor, they were not allowed to show syringes or needles on TV in the 60s. That's where they got the hypo spray because that was their workaround.
Yeah.
Okay.
You need an injection of some sort.
Yeah.
Right.
I can't give you a hypodermic injection.
Right.
Yeah.
Hypo spray.
That makes sense.
And that's why the Star Trek creators invented hypo spray.
Do you know the reason why we have cell phones is because of the tricorder?
Yes.
Yeah.
So why don't we have hypo sprays now?
There are hypo sprays.
For everything?
No.
I still have to take shots.
No, there's not.
That's
hypo
not
sprays.
okay with me.
That's because we just don't have the technology yet.
This is better than a tricorder. The thing in my hand, this is a better thing than a tricorder.
No,
I can do all the things
it's
that
not.
I can do almost all the things that a tricorder could do.
Yeah, but medicine's a little
Except for
more.
medicine.
Medicine and how it metabolizes in your body is a little more complicated.
Yeah. And I would still rather
Microchips.
have a functional tricorder.
There are drugs that like Narcan is a hypo spray.
Yeah.
You don't inject that. I mean, for all intents and purposes, albuterol is a hypo spray.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. But not everything.
No, we're not there yet.
So now you have a mystery alien disease.
Bashir. Bashir's a researcher. That's what he does, and he doesn't stop.
Mm.
He will find the thing,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll find it. He'll keep going and going and going. And
Uh,
he's a researcher. That's what he does. Yeah.
the doctor.
The
Robert Picardo.
Robert
The-
Picardo.
The emergency medical.
Okay, somebody look that up because we can't just
emergency
keep calling him the
medical
Hologram.
hologram.
Yeah, the EMH.
The
But they just call him the doctor.
Yeah.
He's just doc.
He's
Okay.
just he doesn't have a
So
name.
they,
He's the
he
doctor.
does, he's just like the doctor.
You
which
just don't
I
want
know
to
why-
deal with Bashir starting to whine to you.
No,
about-
but here's my reasoning is because Voyager is further in the future,
it is.
and so therefore the EMH has better medical
Voyager is
information
barely. It's
available.
barely.
Okay.
It's actually not
Correct.
further in
But
the
then they
future
go-
than DS9.
Nah, it is actually simultaneous.
But yeah, it's the
But
same
Okay,
he
but
time
here's
gets
the
period.
thing.
he
but-
gets the medical upload every time. And
Yeah,
he is
but
current
he
all the
doesn't
time.
have access to the same tools.
Yeah.
Because he only has what was originally stocked on the ship or what
Which
they
is-
can replicate.
Yeah.
There's still a better sick bay than what Julian has in that fucking
It's not
Cardassian
about-
hellhole.
Well, yeah, it's not about sickbay. It's about the fact that every single thing that's thrown at Julian, every single weird disease,
Yeah.
down to Odo, he finds a cure for
Doc does too.
because he doesn't stop.
Doc
At
does
all.
too because he doesn't have to sleep.
He
I
does
get-
not have to sleep.
I mean,
Either one is good.
Bashir doesn't really need
I was
sleep.
gonna say
either.
you're not giving me a reason to not go with Bashir.
Yeah,
so-
I mean, I am happy if I walk in and I see Dr. Bashir, I'm good. But if I see Robert Picardo, I'm gonna shake his hand.
well, yeah, I would do that too, but
You saved that show. For
I
me,
wasn't
sir.
asked whose hand I was gonna shake. Obviously, it's not Julian
No,
because then he's
no.
just gonna start
Well, and I have a feeling Julian's a closet
oohing and
gooner.
awing and humping my leg. And
Yeah, see, you're
so-
right because Julian is a closet gooner. I have a feeling he's just like masturbating in his private time.
Yeah, totally is.
Yeah.
That's
He is addicted to porn.
he is
We all know.
100%.
Plus, he's probably tagging Garrick.
Yeah.
Oh,
Garrick
for
is-
sure.
I mean,
Garrick is the
probably,
best
that's
power
not
bottom
even-
in Star Trek.
Yes, 100%. He wants you to think he's the best power bottom. No, he flips the script on that one.
All right.
Yeah, where are the Garrett questions? Come on.
All right. Let's go with Garrick. All right. Garrick situation. Would you A, want to be stuck in a war camp with him? B, have him actually make you a suit? Or C, be a part of his spying?
So Garrick, our Garrick, not
Our Garrick.
other universe Garrick.
Yeah, our Garrick.
Other universe Garrick's lame as fuck.
No. Good Garrick.
Oh, definitely a suit. 100%. I mean, it's probably going to have all sorts of like poison and I'm going to die and a knife's going to pop out of the shoulder, but
Yeah.
I like a good suit.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I don't
you-
really want to be part of a spy ring. That's a lot of work. You know, I'm not really that person.
So, option 3 is probably certain death.
Yeah.
So that
Oh,
has to
yeah.
be thrown out for sure.
Yeah.
Now, the suit is interesting, but I don't know if I've ever actually seen anybody buy something from him. He's only ever given things away on the show, as far as I remember. I don't think he's ever actually sold anything on an
Not
episode.
on camera.
He's always giving stuff away, but I don't think I've ever actually seen anybody purchase anything. So is he actually a decent tailor?
Yeah, he makes all the clothes.
He
in the
makes
shop.
it. I mean, you see him sewing,
Now,
And you
it's interesting that
And-
you
and,
throw
like clipping, fabric and stuff.
it's interesting that you throw the war camp thing in there, because it's like, would you work for him? Would you have something made by him, or would you be in a
suffer?
terrible
Or
situation?
would you suffer?
Okay, but see, here's
Facing
in the
certain
terrible
death.
situation, right? In your terrible situation, like the war camp,
Do I want
would
Garrick
you want
there?
Garrick with you?
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
only if Garrick decides that I'm worth saving?
Yeah, well, yeah,
Which I probably not, so I'll go with the suit.
yeah. That makes a good
I'll,
point.
I'll
Yeah,
take the suit.
am I interesting enough for Garrick to want to keep alive?
Yeah, I just can't. I don't have much to offer Garrick. I'm, female and
I don't know. Do I
can't
get a new
fight
suit?
and
We just got you that really nice one from the thrift store.
Yeah, so I don't need a new suit.
Okay, so war camp it is.
I guess war camp, yeah, because I don't want to spy
I don't
for
want
him.
to spy.
That
No,
is
that's
certain
like a
death.
lot of work.
And it's certain death.
I'm
You
lazy.
are going to hit the spies die. If you're in a war camp with them, you might be
All
getting
of
out.
Garrick's friends die.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything that happened on Deep Space Nine at any point in the entire show that Garrick didn't know about?
No,
that bullshit.
I don't believe it.
That bullshit that happened where they got stuck in Odo's real life nightmare.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
He didn't know
that's
about
fair.
that.
He didn't know about that, and why wouldn't?
And he was in that episode.
Yeah.
So,
that's fair. Well, yeah, things like dreams and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that, but like tangible.
But that actually
tangible
happened.
event-
That was
well,
something
apparently he didn't know that Loxana showed up because he could have just gone and murdered her and saved all of us a lot of trouble.
or had her murdered.
Made her a suit with
Made
a
her a
button
suit.
that like
Yeah.
dissolved into her flesh.
No,
No,
I
but
don't
Garrick
think so.
knows
I
pretty
think
much
he
everything.
knows everything
Yeah.
tangible. Yeah.
Yeah. Because he's
So
not
like
selling
when
suits.
Nog and Jake start their enterprise.
Oh yeah, he
Oh, yeah.
totally Garrick knows all
Oh,
about
yeah.
that.
He
Yeah.
probably helped him.
He probably did.
Yeah.
He probably is the one sending like
This
stim
anonymous.
bolts. Yeah.
Tell me, Jake, what would you do with 1,000 dun bolts?
Stem bolts.
Stem bolts, that's what. What would you do with
Sealing stem bolts.
self-sealing stem bolts? Just trying to be Garrick, and the
That was very Nog-esque.
It was
It
very
was.
Nog.
Moogie.
There we go. Okay. Baseball.
Jake, baseball.
Okay.
Jake.
So Star Trek obviously does a lot of things first,
Yes.
right? You have the kiss between Kirk and Uhura. You had her being on the bridge in the first place, being a woman of color, right? But then you also get into the things that Star Trek does. It's like, this is the first of this species to do this thing, right? Nog becomes a member of Starfleet, and you see he becomes a captain and whatever. Okay. Is there any one of those firsts, and pick from any of the various firsts within, where they make a big point out of the fact that this is, life changing or culture changing?
Right. This is a shift.
Yeah. Are there any of those things that A, you disagree with, B, you think didn't get enough attention? Those are two different questions.
God, now I have to think.
So I'll go with your second one first because I wasn't thinking about the second one, the first one. So I need to go back to that one and think about it because there's probably something I don't agree with out there. But the second one where, okay. So when Jadzia has the lesbian kiss, that was the first kiss on screen between two women in American television history. I don't think that gets enough credit because that was a big deal.
Yeah, nobody
back
talks
then.
about that.
And nobody talks about
No.
that. That was groundbreaking then to have two characters like that on a show like that so many people were watching, and it drew in people. And that was just groundbreaking to me. So like that to me is something that nobody talks about that maybe have been a little bit more revolutionary than
Then it gets credit.
Then
for
it
it.
gets
I
credit
agree,
for it.
and it
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
just a kiss. They were going to
yeah.
be a
Yeah.
couple.
Yeah.
Like they were going to take off, and
Yeah, they had plans.
they had plans.
They had been previously married, so why not?
Yeah. and that wasn't. It
was
didn't matter.
It was a big deal.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. Anything that happened, and it doesn't have to be a first, like the kiss, something that impacted our culture. But is there anything that happened as a first that impacted a species culture, whether it be within the Star Trek universe or within our own, that you're like, yeah, that was kind of stupid. That shouldn't have happened.
Threshold Day. I'm trying to think of some other ones.
Yeah, me too.
Worf getting banished, I got it because it was a plot that they needed to make to advance some other things with the Klingons to make them more likable as a race.
Yeah,
And bring them more mainstream because once you have them as allies, you can have them all the time instead of it's just in front of a screen. You can get them on the ships and replace more characters because Klingons are a big deal, as we talked about.
Yeah.
Because just more interesting than Vulcans in every single way. When I was
I
a
gotta
kid,
agree with that.
when I was a kid, I was hyper fascinated by Vulcans. I thought they were just so interesting. And now that I'm older, I'm like, what a boring fucking race. Honestly, like, your whole thing is you're just going to be lame.
We should have stuck with Tuvix.
Yeah.
Could have made Voyager the best show ever.
Yeah, and then not to mention Tuvix. Fuck,
Tuvix.
That's another great one. Like, we could just go through rounds on Voyager, but Threshold Day is a good one. Tuvix. Trying to think of some other things. The Worf thing, just, I think it was awful, but it advanced the plot of the show, and you got to see that part of Klingon culture. The banishment was weird, but
yeah,
when you see other things about Klingon culture, it makes a lot more sense. I'm trying to think of some other stuff.
I am too.
The way that they treat clones in Deep Space Nine is a little bit weird. I get it. Like, they're not really humans. They're not really people, and they kind of treat them that way a little bit. With the Jem'Hadar.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Specifically, like, Starfleet people kind of treat the Jem'Hadar and what's
the Vorta.
The Vorta like slave races. And you would think that Starfleet would be beyond that.
Especially, I feel like the Vorta gets more of that.
Yeah, the Vorta gets shit on quite a bit.
Because the Jem'Hadar, at least people are afraid of them.
Yeah.
So.
Like, I feel like they just go through fucking mounds and mounds and mounds of Vorta. Because, like, Jem'Hadar have just got to be killing those guys left and right since they're controlling all the drugs.
Yeah.
But yeah, the way that specifically those two races get treated in Deep Space Nine is a little bit weird, the way that Starfleet treats them.
I agree with that. I mean,
even for an enemy race.
They are slave races to the Dominion,
right?
But shouldn't Starfleet be
like trying to
maybe
like ungaslight that? Like, try to change the culture a little bit? Yeah,
But that would go against the Prime Directive.
It would go against the Prime Directive. Hey, there's one good Wayoon. There was one good Vorta. He was kind of lame, but
yeah. Well, Jeffrey Combs in general is just amazing. So anytime
I decided no. Actually, Jeffrey Combs as anybody is my favorite character. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
When I found out he was Brunt, it was like, okay, well, now I love Brunt.
I know. It's the only reason Brunt episodes are good.
That's the only reason. It's like, oh wait, oh my god, you're the same person. Yes.
Yeah, he's so good.
Anyway, moving away from that Jeffrey Combs fangirl moment.
Okay. What you don't see a lot of in Star Trek, and you do see in other shows, is when a character gets replaced by another actor. Like Darren in Bewitched. Right? Like, they don't say, oh, here's a new person. Because, like, especially in Bewitched, she gave up her life, of magic to be with a mortal. So it can't be like, well, I got done with that one, so I got a new one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But the only real character that, like, they're like, okay, well, we still need a Dax.
Yeah.
Right? We get Ezri, whom I hate very much.
And I think that Ezri is a shame, because Ezri could have been very compelling. Because you have somebody who was not trained, who did not want this, who does not want to be where they are, and she has to figure out how to get through that.
Yeah.
But she was so poorly written.
She had potential.
Poorly acted. I mean, her hair's nice, but I'm biased.
Okay. So not only, the question isn't just, do we all agree that Ezri sucks, but when another character was killed off for whatever reason, Tasha, right? Because she sucks.
Thank you.
Hate Tasha.
Hate Tasha.
Hate
no
Tasha.
Shame.
Yeah.
Love the black goo.
Love the black goo. Go black goo. Hate
Fucking
Tasha.
black goo was right, man.
Cheers to that.
Is there a character that you wanted to see brought back, even if it was done by a different actor?
To tag on to your point about things that got replaced,
That's a
there's
good
been a
question.
few other times where like a character's been swapped out for a different person.
Yes, yeah.
So like specifically, we talked about Beverly and Dr. Pulaski.
Pulaski, yeah.
Because she was in part of season 2.
Yes.
That fucking bitch. Then we talked about also 7 of 9 replaced the 2-year-old that was getting fucked by the furry.
Yeah. Yes, that's yes.
We talked about the minor who is getting raped by a member of Cats.
Yes, I mean,
Do not pull Andrew Lloyd Webber into this.
please don't. For an opposite reason.
But
Though,
as far as characters that I would have liked to see come back, I would have liked to see more of DeForest Kelly. Somebody playing the Doctor, that after DeForest, because DeForest was the first of the original cast members to die. So he didn't get a lot of screen time with this new, there were episodes with Scotty. Like Scotty got to have a send-off.
He did get to have.
Shatner got a whole fucking movie send-off.
Yeah.
All the cast members came and went and had their thing and did. But DeForest Kelly and the Doctor character in general, the McCoy's Doctor, did not get a proper send-off to me. So I would have liked to see more of that character. Bones was great. And in the Kelvin timeline, the Bones character, other than Khan being played by Hunter Bunch Scooby Snacks.
Hunter Bunch Scooby Snacks.
Close
the
enough,
guy who played Dr. McCoy in those, actually the casting in those movies is fantastic.
Oh, it's very, very
for
good.
fanboys, guys who just want to be like, okay, these are the characters in just a different set of circumstances. It was really good. The guy who played DeForest Kelly's character was spot on. He has this monologue in the first one when they're in the thing sitting next to each other getting ready to go up on the shuttle.
Yeah.
He's talking about all the ways that space can kill you. And I close my eyes, and Matt and I have talked about this. I close my eyes and I can see DeForest Kelly saying that speech, that exact speech. So I would have liked to seen him get brought back.
Primordial babies from Voyager.
Okay.
Threshold.
We just
Threshold babies.
Yeah, we just didn't. They just
Tuvix.
Tuvix.
Threshold babies.
Yeah, I mean, everyone seems to be from Voyager, which I don't want to watch. But Tuvix. Oh, Tuvix.
That's it.
Honestly, I just don't know. I'm not sure. I've always been okay within media when someone's gone, they're gone. But
Okay.
yeah, I don't know.
All right, this is my
Tuvix.
last question,
Tuvix.
and this one is incredibly open. All right. What is your one opinion about Star Trek that you have not found somebody to agree with? It is your controversial opinion.
I think I started that one.
Yeah, but apparently other people agree with you.
I don't know if
I'm sure that there are a lot of people out there who will agree with either of your points.
Right, but I've never met anyone in person.
But like you don't have somebody in your life who was all like, yeah, Janeway was completely right all the time.
Bestest ever.
Right? Like she is such the coolest captain. Right?
Well, I like Barclay.
Oh,
Haven't really meant many.
Oh, that's a tough one.
It's not even about him. He's just entertained. See, there's a difference between liking the character and just being entertained by the character.
So
Two
you
different
don't
things.
like the character, but you're entertained.
I'll put it
by
this
the
way: I don't
character.
want to hang out with these people. They'll get punched in the face. No, that's not. I know other people who like Barclay episodes.
Okay.
I have to think about that. Well, I really, really, really hate. It's the second Moriarty episode where his whole shtick for blackmailing the crew is because he wants to get his girlfriend out, and that annoys me.
Yeah, I don't
Do
like
you?
that one
Okay,
either.
thank
Yeah,
you.
but-
I hate that, and
yeah.
I've been accused of just not being romantic and dull, which is true. But
No, but they
it's
needed
like
to do
this
it
is your
better.
whole thing.
Yeah,
Is
that-
for your girlfriend.
I liked the Moriarty character.
I
It
love
was
the Moriarty
awesome.
character. It's like
And the
you're
first
so wasted
yeah,
on this.
Yeah, it was.
I'm
it was
lame. I'm not romantic.
wedged in there a bit. It's not. It doesn't hold still to the.
And that's like minor. I mean, that's a minor thing. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of like a big, grander.
Okay, well,
Theory
what
of
about this?
height.
the holodeck characters
Right.
that you get, like Moriarty,
Yeah.
or
Vic Fontaine.
Vic Fontaine.
right? Like, you know,
He just died.
He did just die.
it was
Vic
very
Fontaine.
sad.
Yeah. Not actually Vic Fontaine. I'm sure he's still around, but
Well, yeah,
the
'cause, you
character.
know,
Well, he
they-
hasn't been
actor.
invented yet.
Yeah, that's true.
So
You know, so holodeck characters, you know,
Okay,
good thing,
yeah,
bad
so
thing.
Ask me these questions about Twin Peaks, and I have like an 8-hour monologue for you.
So the
It's
holodeck
okay. After this one, I'm going to ask you to talk about the historical inaccuracies.
of Braveheart.
I have to rewatch Braveheart. Oh! I'll have to reread that Queen Isabella book and then rewatch Braveheart.
Yeah, that'll be a whole nother episode.
How about my rant about the Tudors and how their violins were wrong?
Oh yeah, I like that one.
That's
too.
what started this whole thing. There's no violins during the Tudor period. They hadn't been invented yet. Anyway.
Things. Let's see. No more Luoxana Troy.
Okay, everybody
No,
agrees with that.
agrees with that.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of like a bigger theory question.
John Luke is actually.
Wesley's
Wesley's
dead.
dad.
Yeah, no, I can't get behind that one.
I'm glad that you've never heard that before.
I've not, and
your
it's
genuine reaction
so
was so good.
Dumb. I can't even like deal with this. Sorry if that's your favorite fan theory.
No, it's a good one.
You know,
It's not one I share.
That
with
is
very
the
many
most
people.
like fan fiction thing I have ever heard in my life.
It's like Darth Jar Jar. It's one of those things where like sometimes it just changes the way the
oh my
perception
gosh,
of
it's
the
like
way
when
you
my
watch
friend
it.
in college was obsessed with CSI fan fiction. And she'd tell me, like, these people are sleeping together. You gotta watch the show and you'll see. It's like, no, dear. No. Well, they looked at each other in this scene. Oh, okay.
Oh, I do
No.
the same thing with Doctor Who though too. So like there's
That's just that I put that theory
Oh,
in this club.
there will be a Doctor Who episode as well, but I think that one is going to involve bringing King Goon back in.
yeah, that Matt will have to. The King
So
Goon
that's
will have to
definitely
be
not
here.
for me.
No, but
Like, I know there's a doctor named Doctor Who who's not a doctor.
His name is not Doctor Who
His
though.
name is not Doctor Who, and he sleeps in a phone booth or
police
something
box.
like that.
Yes.
Yes.
Basically, yeah. You
This
got
is
it.
why I am not invited to that particular
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Hi.
All right, so that is, I think, the end of tonight's episode of Poke Mark with a Stick, Star Trek Edition, or as we have decided to name the episode,
baseball.
Baseball,
Jake. Hi.
Boogie.
and Dog is now done waiting for us. So thanks, you guys. Tune in next time with Nerds That Know. We are doing a special episode on online gaming next.